This was all just a cheap trick. Sal planted bombs just before the military came. He might be an expert with explosives, but as you can see, from a martial arts standpoint, he's an amateur.
Do you remember Jump Force? I can't blame you if you can't, or even don't want to. It was an anniversary crossover arena fighter that told the story of shonen anime heroes teaming up to save our world from invading evil. Randomly playing this game last summer got me thinking back on the elements that drew me towards the game. At first, it was the promise of an epic crossover with legendary combatants from Shonen Jump's treasured history. However, as the game came out, its several issues discussed over the months and my purchase of the Nintendo Switch version, I had come to find myself drawn to the very thing the game was derided for, its art style. I agree that Jump Force is a sight for sore eyes, but it also finds a way to create a captivating narrative that flies in opposition with the game's actual narrative, its marketing, and the themes and iconography of the shonen anime genre. I believe that Jump Force's aesthetic is something special, and I want to share what makes it fascinating to look at, listen to, and discuss. Join me as we search for the secret beauty of Jump Force. As mentioned before, the most interesting thing about the aesthetic of the game is how it creates a narrative that contrasts with our traditional understanding of the themes of shonen anime. In order to truly grasp this new narrative, we need to break down the two aspects that make up the aesthetic of the game, the visuals and the music. The most interesting thing about Jump Force is its decision to go for a more realistic art style compared to other anime games. The bright colors and deliberate yet simple shading has now been replaced with dynamic lighting and realistic textures. While the animations within fights are fast and snappy, animations in cutscenes and in menus feel far more natural and looser. This creates an uncanny effect as the natural, almost motion capture style of animation contrasts with the more exaggerated proportions and designs of the cast. This contrast persists within the game as you constantly flip between the snappy and deliberate animations of battle to the looser animations of the cutscenes and menus. It creates a strange effect where the characters stop feeling like normal people and more like bobble-headed mascot costumes. Story mode explores the idea of the anime realm and the real realm merging in unnatural ways, but as far as the visuals are concerned, it doesn't do a good job of establishing that distinction. Every element that originates from an anime is rendered in a realistic style. The cast stop feeling like invaders from a strange world and more like extensions of our own world. Not exactly normal people, but more like raging beasts. That raging beasts bit is important because the cast of Jump Force rarely changes emotion. A large majority of the cast is stuck with a permanent, battle-hardened scowl that robs them of any dynamism. When I look at the roster, I don't see triumphant heroes who are bastions of courage, perseverance, and fortitude. I see violent beasts who succumb to their most debased and aggressive urges. The music isn't making things any cheerier. I'll be the first to say that I love the soundtrack of Jump Force, and I'm very glad it didn't take the route of almost every anime game in existence doing a butt rock soundtrack. As much as I love the uniqueness of the score, it is a little strange how stressful the stage tracks are. Harsh, jagged strings, blaring horn, and an overbearing choir fills the air of the battlefield. The stressful soundtrack brings to focus the massive amount of destruction the fighters are creating in their environment. It contributes to an atmosphere of desperation and rage. This may sound odd, but the aesthetic of Jump Force mirrors the aesthetic of the famous ballet The Rite of Spring. It's famous for rejecting ballet conventions at the time with its abrasive, jagged soundscape and abrupt, frenetic choreography depicting an ancient pagan sacrifice. The Rite of Spring is fascinating to watch and discuss because in its attempt to reject the conventional grace of traditional ballet, it establishes a new beauty and a fresh identity. The parallels become stronger when we observe a section of the film Fantasia, set to the same music. Rather than dancers being the focal pieces, it's the struggles of prehistoric beasts that take center stage. The depiction of dinosaurs in this film feels so alien compared to depictions before and even after the film's release. In Fantasia, dinosaurs are robbed of the ability to be majestic, an element easy to attribute to creatures we've never seen alive. Instead, they are displayed as loathsome, revolting beasts. Much like the ballet that inspired this segment, the rejection of traditional depictions of dinosaurs makes way for a new, slightly more interesting beauty. The story of Jump Force is one of shonen anime heroes stripped of the themes and visual identity that defines them. Robbed of these elements and dropped into a facsimile of our world, these characters stop becoming people or even beasts, but instead forces of nature. We witness helplessly as these forces charge and crash into each other, cleaving through cities and carving through mountains for conflicts we can't even try to comprehend. Jump Force denies these legends the triumph that is usually attributed to them, and instead with a new sensation, one of fear, awe, and maybe disgust. Jump Force is ugly, but it's also the reason why it's beautiful, and I wouldn't have it any other way.